Look at this. Kenton made some brownies. They look delicious, but unfortunately I won't be able to eat them because they're not gluten-free. He's all like, oh, I didn't want to use your gluten-free packages. No, you should have, because then I could have had a brownie. Now you're going to eat all of this by yourself? So no, we're going to take some to Nana. He put cranberries in there. That's the kind of thing my mother would do. Yeah, see? Feel like I haven't vlogged in a while. Well, at least here at my house in North Carolina. Last time I vlogged, I think, was when I was in New York visiting brother. It's wet outside and it's a mess, but I'm sure so is most people's yard. I mean, it's winter. Well, winter into spring. I mean, just look how horrible that looks. Horrible. But I kind of look forward to when things warm up to be able to go outside and clean and, you know, put out the patio furniture properly. Yeah, you can see it's starting to get green, but the place is a mess. Mess, 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 mess. It rained clearly. You can see it's starting to feel like spring. But it's still wet and cold right now. And what are we in? March. We're in March and this is too cold. Gonna go say hi to Nana, even though I called her several times and no answer. Sometimes she's, you know, doing something and she can't hear the phone, but we're gonna go check just to make sure. I know she's pretty independent and she's got things that she does, so I try not to worry. But every once in a while it's good to check up on her. Nana is fine, by the way, but I didn't vlog our visit. Maybe next time I'll record it. Let's go back to last week. We decided to go visit the kids for their spring break on their college campus. So Kareem and Mariam decided to stay on campus during spring break. I was actually kind of surprised because it hadn't occurred to me that it was spring break until Kenton pointed it out that they have decided to stay on campus to work on some projects. So anyway, we are here to drop off a few things they may need and also just to check on them. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. Yes, my kids act awkward in front of the camera. I know, they know. But he's also on call as a resident advisor today. Where?
It looks like you got a tumor on it.
Let's see. Let's see. That's a leg? Yeah, it's interesting, Mariam. It's very interesting. Why is his knee down here?
The top loop.
Yeah. So yeah, Daddy had brought you all those clothes, but I was saying that technically for graduation you should have a new outfit, Kareem. One of the first things I notice is that Kareem has lost a little bit more weight. And I know part of it is because he stays very busy between his job and also his schoolwork. He takes everything very seriously. But I do feel like he could eat a little bit more, especially for his height. Apparently, he has a very sensitive stomach and he doesn't really prefer the campus food, and he tends to be a little bit more health conscious, which is a good thing, but he still has to maintain, you know, adequate amounts of calories. So anyway, we talked about that. Shirts, what's your shirt size? Because I want to be able to buy stuff without you being there. Let's see.
Size is 17.
Oh, there's nothing on here. Oops, sorry. Oh, okay. And then what about your shirts? Like your neck size?
on this one? This is the most recent.
This is the most recent one. 33 or 34, okay. Neck, 33. Oh, length, is that what that is? Oh, those numbers are for the arms? See, I have no clue.
16 is the neck.
Neck, right. So 33 to 34. So you would prefer 34 arms. And to anyone wondering if he's not old enough to buy his own clothes, yes, he does. But it's still nice as his parents to be able to contribute once in a while. And even at my age, my mom still buys some clothes for me sometimes. Right, you want to put it on and let's make sure.
This says 36 regular.
I don't know. Those don't look like the right. The last measurement I took, or the last measurement that's on his pants, he says he doesn't like it. It's a little too baggy. And look how they fit right now. Little baggy. So let's get the waist, current waist size, because he's lost weight. Look at Daddy next to Kareem. Kareem, I wish my waistline was as small as yours.
I don't think I can.
Huh? You don't think that would be awesome? Man, if my waistline was as tiny.
It's about 34.
34?
Yeah. So it's high.
Is that good or bad?
I mean, no, it's I mean, it is.
What was it before? What's the other pant size?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, 34. That's where you wear it, right under your belly button, right? Yeah.
So currently 34, and those pants were previously, or those pants are 36, so he's lost 2 inches around his waistline. Can you play? It's been a while. Why is he gonna go get stuff? Oh, okay. Meanwhile, I will entertain myself here. When's the last time you played? Pressure is on! The pressure is on! Kareem is trying to be gentle with you. Oh, Lordy. Okay, they're in a rhythm. In a rhythm. Left hand versus right hand. Can you play, Miriam? It's too loud. Go, 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 go! Oh! It's a lot harder than it looks. Okay, wait, okay. Hopeless. Both of us. Clearly that game was a lot harder than I thought. Anyway, we decided to take them out to eat because they look like 2 hungry people. So we're out at, where are we? Denny's? Is that Denny's? Yeah, Denny's. And the food's not bad, you know, pretty basic American food. Eggs, bread, you know, meat, hash browns. I got some mashed potatoes and broccoli and tea. Next, we decided to take them to the supermarket to get a few things so that they could eat while they're, you know, on campus for spring break, because they're going to be on campus for like a whole week and the cafeteria is closed. I mean, that's kind of crazy to me. But the cafeteria is closed, and in their dorm, they don't have kitchens, so it's not like they can cook. So everything we get has to be able to be refrigerated or kept out. Oh, wow. So, you know, just basic stuff, basic fruit, some bread, some canned soup, because they have can openers, and they do have a microwave, so they can use that. Before we talk about the issue of black people in colleges, I just wanted to say, make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok. I love getting your messages and your videos. And shout out to this lady who sent me this video. White accessories. And okay, this is really, really cute, Habiba. I love this. I love it. With the handbag crossbody, with the black dress, that is gorgeous. I love it. Looks so good on you. You look cute. This is good. Keep this. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Black is not. But then I'm like, well, on a practical level, it really is. Send it back, Habiba. It's too big. Send it back. Send it back. But let me know. Send it back. I send it back and get one size down. One size down. Oversized look. Oversized look. Because it's the sleeves. They're just too long. Hey y'all, while we're driving, I thought we'd take a moment and have a little chat with Kenton. Yeah, so I don't know, there's this man, can't stop, there's this man out there, he gains popularity for, you know, talking about controversial issues, and I don't remember his name, but I'll pop his name here once I go Google it, once I have a chance and I'm editing. But anyway, the most recent thing I heard him say, well, first of all, just to give you a little background, he's the same person who talks strongly against interracial relationships or interracial marriage. He's very much against that. And to each his own. I don't really have any huge issue with that. But I did find it sort of interesting and strange when he was saying that black people need to stop encouraging their kids to go to college, because he believes that really a lot of these jobs that they are pursuing with a college degree is going to be replaced by AI or replaced by robotics or whatever. But basically that, you know, you're getting a wasted college education when you could be doing something technical, i.e., you know, the plumbers and the mechanics, and that's where black people should be, you know, sending their children, or what they should be sending their children to learn. So I just thought I would give Kenton an opportunity to give us his opinion on that matter, because I think he has, you know, he's wise and he says it better than I could.
Hi folks, sorry to take up your time.
What you mean? That's why they tuned in.
No, they tuned in for you.
They didn't tune in for me. This is Kenton and Habiba. Sometimes we gotta remind him. This is supposed to be Kenton and Habiba.
Yeah, but I'm the silent. I'm the silent.
He's the silent.
Silent partner.
All right, go ahead.
So yeah. So anyways, so you have to put things in context. So when you make these large blanket statements that black people should, first of all, I think that's highly insultive. It's like assuming blacks, African Americans, Afro-Caribbean, Africans, all one big group. And to sit there and say, oh, they all should do something. First of all, that is highly just assumptive. It's all dependent. And the thing is also, it's ahistorical. Higher education, particularly about African Americans and also immigrants in this country, were barred from higher education, particularly in the South, where predominantly the majority of African Americans lived. You only had a 6th grade education. So you have basically two trains of thoughts that were occurring at the time of black liberation, particularly a post-Civil War. One was the Booker T. Washington, which was, yes, you should learn technical skills, right? Because there's a huge gap.
Right, and that was very relevant at the time.
Right, absolutely. And it's still relevant now. But you also have another school of thought where basically it was about creating higher education. Because the thing is that you can't have true freedom if you don't have ownership.
Right.
And ownership is not just about having a business. It's also making the rules of the game.
Right.
Right? Because as we see with like massacre at Tulsa and so forth, you can have all the business, but you don't have really the reins of power, then it's not going to matter. And if you don't have the making the rules, as in banking, as in the law, because the thing is that in the end, they're the ones setting up the rules of the game. So that's why there was a big push towards education. That's why you ended up with black lawyers, who then became black justices. This was one of the things that in the post-Civil War, that's just what was happening, and that's why you had all of a sudden the big push and the big growth of the KKK, because they were pushing back basically the changes that were being pushed out from the 12th, 13th, and 14th Amendment. Okay, and so not only just the end of slavery, but also in trying to desegregation and so forth. So that's when you ended up with all the Jim Crow laws and segregation stuff, is to basically restrict any type of growth that was occurring. So that's why you had the rise of also black schools. So it's these two schools' thoughts are not necessarily conflictual. It's just a different approach in order to try to create, try to get some sort of equity in the system.
So would you say then that someone sending their kid or insisting that their kid don't get a college education in today's time is still a relevant approach? No, because the thing is that it depends on the so-called kid. See, this is the thing. It's not one shoe fits all. If you really, to be part of, again and again, it's just advice, and every person's different, but it's about finding the opportunity that best fits your child. That's really what it is. You go with the opportunity that fits the talent. So really one of the things is that as a parent is to identify and help identify your child's true God-given talent. And that's really the challenge, is looking at trying to create different opportunities, try to find them to explore, because in order to find their talent is also giving them a way to explore. So in writing, reading, whatever, even physicality, but once you find those talents, then you also then find ways to then have them be successful in those talents, and then also develop other things they may be a little uncomfortable with. For example, if like athletics, if they're very good at athletics, but then also strengthen their mind that they have also good financial sense. Because we see time and time again, you may make the money, doesn't mean you get to keep the money. So it's good to have them, or even if they don't have it, at least then have the ability to identify people to have that ability so they don't get taken advantage. That's about being well-rounded. But that's the thing. But to sit there and say they should have an education, and really the other thing too is not that. Well, isn't a technical quote education an education? But it really is a form of education, right? Because many times, for example, an auto mechanic, it's not like the old days now. Almost all cars now have a computer chip. Right. So to be a mechanic, it's a specialization, and then you basically work only on certain cars because many cars are so vastly different. So yes, and you get educated and stuff, but if you're very good with your hands, it's the same thing with HVAC. But if you want to go a step further, learn about this technical trade, but then learn how to be your own business person. That's right. Another step. See, that's the thing that this individual is leaving out. It's not about ending at a technical, it's about being expansive where then you own your economic future. Because see, if you even learn technical, you're still working for someone else. Right, okay, but going back, playing devil's advocate, what about his whole point about all these college jobs or college degrees where you go for professions that are going to be replaced by, quote, AI? And well, you know, but see, this is the thing. Yeah, of course. But you got to be specific. If he's just saying in general, what's the specific? Sure, if there's certain a lot jobs, of, well, right? Certain jobs, but what are they? And that's the thing. That's the hard part to tell, because we don't know. We know that the odds are likely that there's going to be some, like teaching to some degree, you know, possibly, you know, basically a lot of ones that are writing based, sure. But that would also include, guess what? Bloggers, going to include, you know, basically short copywriters, all those things. There's a lot of professions can be replaced, even in some levels of medicine. Manufacturing's already been replaced. That's why we have a huge displacement. That's why you had so many. When you have the reduction of protections for workers, okay, unionization has been attacked. So you basically diminish the power of people to have basically negotiation skills as a group, or I mean as leverage. So guess what happens? The corporations are going to look at any way to maximize their profit at the expense of the worker, okay? And so what happens is that robotics have come in, and that has what's transformed. Then on top of that is global marketing, basically transnational corporations looking for the cheapest labor possible. That
in turn, the consumer has benefited from it because we get cheap products. But the downside of it is that you have low pay. So it's like everything has a cost. So going back to that, so that's already happening with robotics. Now it's just moving towards where you have so-called artificial intelligence, which is really more high, at this point, highly skilled search engines that are able to carve or put things together in a recognizable and cognizant way in regards to writing. It's not perfect, but it'll eventually get to a point where it's like, okay, it's going to. So, but instead of fearing it, one of the things that it's going to do is that if you're smart about it, it just makes you more efficient. So instead of having a rough draft that'll take you an hour or two, you can literally have a rough draft within 30 minutes. But you still got to know what you're doing. So I don't think that necessarily eliminates these jobs. What it does is that it'll just increase the productivity and just make them more competitive. Instead of something that would take a couple hours, it would then, boil down to literally, 30 minutes and stuff. But you still have to proof it. You still have to make it sure. Because again, if it's just giving you generic stuff, it'll be milk toast. You still have to personalize it, and you still have to make sure that it's logical.
All right, so back to the college degree versus technical.
So again, it just depends upon the specialty.
Right.
Just like anything. If you're getting a degree.
But do you think as a whole, this idea that black people should not be...
I object to anything that categorizes and puts on a particular group, especially when, again, going back to the point where it's completely arbitrary. They're saying black people should. You know what? No one should do anything unless, it has to marry or fit the person's talents and ability as well as opportunity. Also think about it from not even from a micro, but a macro. So say this, everyone does this and just drop out of school. Which some people are anyways because it's so costly. So you have to take a look at the cost, basically the benefit return ratio.
Right.
Look at
I mean, certain degrees, you may not make a lot of money coming out.
Exactly.
But also certain technical jobs, depending on where you're located, you may not make a lot of money also.
Exactly. That's the macroeconomics piece. Because the micro is like, okay, I get it, I got this thing. But again, if you're in 2/3 of America, which is rural,
this looks rural.
Yeah, this is rural, but then it's going to be very challenging. Or you're in a place that's hyper saturated, because that's the other thing. Because if everyone goes to technical school, guess what? It's kind of like then you have this glut, where it's kind of like what happened in the 70s with the success of NASA and stuff. Everyone wanted to be an engineer, but guess what? In the 70s. We had a huge glut of engineers on the market. So what happens? So then you had mass layoffs, and you had engineering salaries started to drop until that equalized, where then less people went into it. Then all of a sudden, then it went back where it paid better. Okay, and then it has more specialization. So certain engineering even pays even more now, depending upon again the opportunities. So I wouldn't sit there and just throw it out there. And sit there, because also the other thing, and this is my final point, besides getting me on a tear, is because also the thing is about representation. We need more African-American black doctors, Afro-Caribbean doctors, Latino doctors, Latina doctors. We need more lawyers. We need more judges. We need more, professionals, engineers, architects, because it does matter. And that's the thing, because guess what? Everyone has a role. But the thing is, you can't just sit there and cut it off and just say, oh, you should do this. I just find that's just completely short-sighted, because this is the thing. We wouldn't have Brown versus Board of Education that ended segregation in schools if it wasn't for the fact that those cases were argued by black attorneys with the NAACP. And one of them was Thurgood Marshall, who became a Supreme Court justice. So put that in your little thought cap, whoever this person is, and make you become more aware before you start spewing out stuff. And yeah, it's in an interracial marriage. So I'm sorry, buddy, if that offends you. Go have a nice day. I don't even know who I'm talking to.
I know. He's a well-known celebrity.
But see,
I believe, or activist.
Activist. Everyone's an activist. When you talk junk, you go on Twitter, you're an activist. You know, that's why I don't follow that stuff. You know who are activists? People who are really doing the work. All right? The people that are out there knocking on doors and getting people to vote for change. The public defenders that are working out there, the people that work in North Carolina, or all the legal aids, the guardian ad litems that stand in front to protect children from abuse. Those are heroes. Those are activists. The nurses, the doctors, they don't sit there on social media and spewing out stuff and then call themselves an activist. Because what? They got followers and handlers and stuff. Give me a break. I don't need that. You know,
all right, bye, Kenton.
Bye.
Bye, Kenton.
John.
Okay, want to hear what you think?
Yeah, you need to
comment below.
You need to edit that stuff.
I'm not editing anything.
You get me on a tear.
I'm not editing anything.
Ridiculous.
Bye, folks. Want to see your comments below. Bye.